A very rich single father sees a waitress feed his daughter who has a disability and completely changes her future. A quiet bell rang when Gavin Carter walked into the little restaurant. The comforting smell of warm bread and coffee filled the room. He didn't often go to places like this, preferring fancy restaurants for work meetings over nice food. But this evening wasn't for work. This evening, it was for his daughter. Lily, his 6-year-old girl, sat next to him in her wheelchair. Her small body wore a light pink coat, her head gently bent down, her fingers moving lightly on her dress. She made no noise, wasn't looking around like other kids. She was just present. Gavin felt a tight squeeze in his heart. The person who greeted them, a young woman with weary eyes, tried to smile as she picked up 2 menus. "A table for 2, somewhere calm," Gavin stated, his voice steady yet strong. The greeter took them to a quiet corner booth far from the busy dinner crowd. When Gavin sat down across from Lily, he reached for the menu but hardly looked at it. He kept his focus on his daughter. "Lily," he asked softly, "are you hungry?" She did not answer. She never did. Gavin breathed out slowly. He disliked this feeling, this weakness that hurt his chest whenever he tried to reach her. He had spent many years building a huge business, making very hard choices, and arranging deals for huge amounts of money. But here, with his child, he felt completely unable to do anything. A server came to their table, holding a small notepad. "Good evening, I am Vanessa, and I will be helping you tonight." Gavin looked up. She was young, perhaps in her mid-20s. Her warm, light brown eyes did not quite show the tiredness he saw in most restaurant staff. There was a little bit of flour on her shirt, like she had just come from the kitchen. "What would you like to order?" she asked, her voice soft and simple. Gavin coughed a little. "Grilled chicken for me, and for my daughter. Something easy to eat. Soup, perhaps." Vanessa looked quickly at Lily, her forehead wrinkling a bit. "Is chicken noodle soup okay for her? We made it here." Gavin paused, then agreed. "That works." "Wonderful. I will be right back." As Vanessa left, Gavin took out his phone, lazily looking through emails, but his thoughts were somewhere else. Would Lily eat tonight? Would she refuse the spoon just like she always did? A few minutes later, Vanessa came back, putting the soup bowl in front of Lily and the grilled chicken for Gavin. "Tell me if you need anything more," she said, then moved away. Gavin sighed, picking up the spoon. "Okay, dear, let's try, all right?" He took a little soup and moved it near Lily's mouth, but before the spoon was even close, her hand suddenly moved, pushing it off. The spoon made a loud noise on the plate, and soup drops fell on the white tablecloth. Some customers looked over. Gavin set his jaw tight, feeling anger build in his chest. Not at her, but at himself. He picked up the spoon again, his voice gentler now. "Lily, please." No response. She just sat, her tiny fingers holding the bottom of her dress, stuck in a world he could not get to. Gavin breathed out sharply, rubbing his hand across his face. He was so busy trying not to get upset that he almost did not see someone standing next to him. "May I?" It was Vanessa. She was bending down by Lily, her face showing no emotion. Gavin looked puzzled. "What? Can I try?" she asked again, pointing to the spoon. Gavin stopped for a moment. Usually he would say no. Lily was not someone needing charity. He had hired the best helpers, healers, and experts in the land, and none of them had connected with her. But something about Vanessa's face, soft yet sure, made him wait. Without a word, he gave her the spoon. Vanessa moved so she was at the same eye level as Lily. She did not instantly bring the spoon to the little girl's mouth. Instead, she spoke gently, kindly. "Hi, Lily," she said, like she was talking to an old friend. Lily did not answer, but Vanessa kept going. "You know," Vanessa went on, putting the spoon into the soup, "when I was small, my mother would say that soup feels like a cozy hug for your belly." She lifted the spoon a little, but did not make her take it. Would you like to try a small hug?" Gavin watched, surprised. He had never seen anyone talk to Lily that way, as if she was hearing, as if she understood. For a moment, nothing occurred, and then Lily's fingers moved slightly. Gavin held his breath. Vanessa smiled. "Just one tiny taste, dear." Slowly, carefully, she put the spoon to Lily's mouth, and this time, Lily did not move away. The warm liquid touched her lips, and after a short time, she swallowed. Gavin looked closely. It was only a taste, just one taste, but for a girl who would not eat unless made to, it meant everything. Then something truly amazing took place. Lily looked at Vanessa, not past her, not through her, but at her. And then she smiled. Gavin felt like the world had shifted. Lily had not smiled in years, not since her mother passed away. He did not know how to handle this moment. The restaurant, the other people, the soft noise of talking, all of it vanished. There was only Lily and this woman who had somehow gotten to her in a way no one else could. His voice sounded rough. "How did you do that?" Vanessa looked up at him, her warm, light brown eyes holding something else, something hard to understand. "I just talked to her," she said easily, as if it was the simplest thing ever. Gavin had no reply to that. He just sat there, looking at the woman who had just broken everything he believed about his daughter. And for the first time in a very long while, Gavin Carter felt something awaken inside him. Hope. Gavin could not sleep that night. Long after he took Lily home, put her in bed, and went to his office, the picture of Vanessa bending beside his daughter stayed with him. The way she talked to Lily, how Lily had reacted, and that smile. Lily had not smiled at anyone, not since his wife passed away. Gavin sat at his desk, looking at the whiskey in his hand, without really seeing it. He had hired experts, healers, and helpers, but none of them had reached her like Vanessa did, a server in a tiny restaurant. Who was she? He picked up his phone and after a short pause, called his assistant. "Learn everything you can about a woman named Vanessa Lane," he told him. The next night, Gavin went back to the restaurant. It was less noisy than the night before, as the busy dinner time had ended. He saw Vanessa cleaning a table nearby, her sleeves pushed up, a bit of flour on her face. She worked fast, skillfully, like someone who had done this job for a long time. Gavin walked right to her. She looked up, surprised, as he came near. "Mr. Carter," Vanessa said. "We must speak," he stated, his voice showing no emotion. She cleaned her hands on her apron, looking quickly at the other diners. "I am working." "This will be quick." Vanessa breathed out, then signaled for him to follow her to the serving area, away from curious glances. Gavin did not lose time. "You were amazing with Lily last night." Vanessa blinked, clearly not waiting for that. She moved her shoulders. "I just saw her as a child, not someone needing care." "Exactly." A quiet moment grew between them. Gavin looked at her closely, trying to find something. A pause, a reply she wasn't sharing. "You have worked with children like her before, haven't you?" he asked. Vanessa grew tense. She moved her head from side to side. "I only used to look after children, that is all." Gavin made his eyes smaller. "You are not telling the truth." Vanessa's lips made a thin line. "Listen, I do not know what you are saying, but—" "I looked into things," Gavin broke in, his voice calm yet strong. "You studied teaching for special needs at New York University. You were the best student." Vanessa took a sudden breath. "Then 2 years ago you left school," Gavin went on, watching her carefully. "No reason given, no notes about where you went after that. And now you're working as a server." Vanessa's hands turned into tight fists by her sides. "I do not see why that is your concern," she said softly. Gavin moved forward a little. "It is if you are the only one who has ever made my daughter happy." Vanessa moved back just a tiny bit, but Gavin noticed it. For a moment, neither of them talked. Then Gavin breathed out, "Come work for me." Vanessa's head went up quickly. What? Be Lily's helper, Gavin said. She believes in you. She listens to you. His voice grew gentle. She requires you. Vanessa looked at him fixedly, her face showing nothing. Then she laughed, but it was not a joyful laugh. You do not even know me, she said, shaking her head no. And you think asking me to work for you is a smart plan? I know enough, Gavin replied. I know you are clever, you are calm, and I know that whatever cause you have for leaving your old life, it was not because you were not skilled. Vanessa breathed in sharply, looking away for the first time. Gavin saw something in her eyes, hurt, hidden, and strong. I cannot, she murmured. Gavin looked puzzled. Vanessa. I cannot, she said again, more strongly this time. I am thankful for the job offer, but I am not the person you believe me to be. Gavin stayed quiet for a long moment. Tell me why, he finally asked. Vanessa paused, her throat moving as if she was trying to hold back something big. Then she moved her head no. I have tables to clean. And with that, she turned and left. Gavin watched her leave, his jaw getting tighter. Whatever had made Vanessa Lane quit the job she was perfect for, it was still bothering her. And for the first time in years, Gavin wished to find out why. Gavin Carter was not the type of man to give up easily. When something made no sense, he looked harder. When someone said no to him, he learned the reason. And Vanessa Lane? She was a puzzle he could not overlook. After their last talk, he kept thinking about her eyes, how she had pulled back, how her voice had broken just a little before she left. She was not just a server who happened to be good with children. She was escaping from something, and Gavin planned to discover what. It did not take long. With his means, finding Vanessa's history was simple. She had been a top student at New York University, focusing on special needs, teaching, and healing. Teachers had called her very smart, caring, one of the most hopeful students they had ever known. Then, 2 years ago, she went missing. No degree, no ceremony. She just disappeared. Gavin looked troubled as he quickly read the reports. Why would someone leave something they were so good at? Then he found the reply. A short death notice. A boy's face with bright eyes, smiling. Caleb Lane, age 10. Gavin felt a sudden knot in his stomach. The notice was short, no facts, just that the boy had died suddenly. But it was enough. Vanessa Lane had not just learned about special needs. She had truly lived it, and she had lost someone dear. That night, Gavin went back to the restaurant. He did not sit at a table. He did not order anything. He waited. When Vanessa at last saw him standing near the door, she breathed out, rubbing a hand across her face. Mr. Carter, you are here again. We need to speak, Gavin stated, his voice allowing no room for a fight. Vanessa folded her arms. I thought we already spoke. Not about this matter. Something in his voice made her pause. Gavin pointed to the door. Let us go outside. Vanessa's lips made a thin line, but soon after she took off her apron and went with him. The night air was cool, the street silent except for a car now and then. Gavin turned to look at her. I know about Caleb. Vanessa stopped completely. Her breathing stopped, and for a very brief moment she looked as if someone had hit her in the stomach. Gavin's chest felt tight, but he kept going. I know he was your brother. I know he had brain disorder, and I know he... Do not, Vanessa murmured, her voice almost unheard. Gavin's jaw tightened. Why did you not tell me? Vanessa gave a weak laugh, but it held no joy. Because it is not your concern. That is why... Gavin moved one step nearer. You left something you were supposed to do, and I must know why. So you can make me better? Give me another job I do not wish for? Gavin did not give up. I need to know, because you are the only one who has ever connected with my daughter, and if you are not going to help her, I at least should know the reason. Vanessa shook her head, holding her arms around herself as if keeping something inside. Caleb was my whole world, She finally spoke, her voice empty. My parents were rarely present, so it was just me and him. I spent all my life learning to look after him. I promised him I would always be there, that no matter what, I would help him improve. She took a shaky breath. But I failed. The words broke like glass. Gavin's chest felt tight. One night he became ill. Nothing bad at first, only a fever, but it grew worse and worse. By the time we brought him to the hospital, her voice gave out. It was too late. Gavin took a hard gulp. Vanessa angrily rubbed her eyes. I was learning to assist children like him. I was meant to know what to do, but I did not. I let him down. She looked up at Gavin then, her eyes shining with pain. And I will not fail again. Gavin looked at her, his heart beating fast. This was why she had turned down his proposal. Not because she did not care, but because she cared too much. Because losing one child had hurt her deeply, and she was very scared of getting near another. Vanessa shook her head, stepping away. So now you know? Are you pleased? Gavin did not reply. For the first time in his life, he did not know what to speak. Vanessa had not planned to say yes when Gavin made the offer again. 1 week, just try it for 7 days. She fully meant to say no, but something in his voice, in the calm longing behind his usually calm manner, made her pause. And then there was Lily. Vanessa could still recall the small girl's gentle smile from that night at the restaurant, how her eyes had fixed on her, how she had reacted to an easy kindness. It had been so long since Vanessa felt she was good at something, since she had felt wanted. So, against every urge telling her to leave, she said, 1 week. No more. The Carter home was not at all what she thought. It was not just a house. It was a huge building, a smooth, new fort, hidden behind metal gates and tidy gardens. Vanessa went inside after Gavin, holding her bag strapped tightly, as she saw the very high ceilings, the shiny stone floors, the large open areas that felt too grand, too bare. This way, Gavin stated, guiding her along a hall. They stopped at a door, partly open. Lily's room. Vanessa walked in and at once felt a tightness in her throat. It was lovely, gentle, light colors, shelves full of books and soft toys, a very tall window that let in bright afternoon sun. And in the middle of everything, curled in her wheelchair, sat Lily. She did not look up when they came in. Gavin breathed out, rubbing the back of his neck. She has been more silent than normal since her mother died. Vanessa looked briefly at him. His face showed nothing, but the tightness in his jaw told her all. He felt it was his fault. She turned back to Lily, knowing that same feeling very well. The first 2 days were hard. Lily noticed Vanessa was there. She pulled back when Vanessa tried to lead her hand to a toy, turned away when someone talked to her. Vanessa felt unsureness growing. What if I cannot do this now? What if I let her down like I let Caleb down? But then, on the 3rd day, something became different. Vanessa had been reading out loud, her voice quiet, even though Lily did not seem to be hearing. Then, just as she was going to shut the book, she saw it. Lily's fingers were lightly hitting. It was tiny, almost unseen, but it matched perfectly with Vanessa's words. Vanessa held her breath. "You enjoy this story, do you not?" she asked softly. No answer, but the light hitting went on. And for the first time, Vanessa felt hope. That night, Vanessa sat next to Lily's bed, making the blankets smooth. Lily's eyes were partly shut, her breathing steady. Vanessa paused for a moment. Then, in a voice just louder than a soft murmur, she started to sing, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Lily moved a little, but she did not move away. "You make me happy when skies are gray." Vanessa's throat felt tight. This was the same soft song she used to sing to Caleb, the one he had always wanted, even on his hardest days. She had not sung it since he passed. She had told herself she never would. But now, as she saw Lily's tiny fingers gently wrap around the blanket's edge, she could not stop. Outside the room, Gavin stood still in the hall. He had been walking by when he heard Vanessa's voice. He had thought Lily would push back. He had believed that this 7 days, would be useless. But now, standing there, hearing that gentle, sad, soft song, he saw something he had not seen in months. Lily was sleeping calmly, no turning, no soft cries, no bad dreams that made her struggle for air. Gavin gulped, holding the doorframe tight. For the first time since his wife died, his daughter was calm, and it was not because of him, it was because of her. Gavin Carter had spent many years building a large business. He had finished deals worth huge amounts of money, talked with some of the toughest business people on earth, and made weak companies into strong ones. But none of it had ever felt as good as seeing his daughter begin to trust someone again. And it was all thanks to Vanessa. The changes were tiny at first. Gavin found himself staying nearby whenever Vanessa helped Lily. He told himself he was just watching, just checking if this try was useful. But then he began to join them. At first, it was small actions, helping Lily build with blocks, holding her hand during practice, sitting next to her as Vanessa read tales. Then, without even knowing it, he was there each day. One afternoon, as Vanessa led Lily through an easy exercise, she looked up and saw Gavin observing, not just looking, truly watching. There was something in his face, something gentle, open. "You do not have to be here, you know," Vanessa softly said. Gavin did not look away from Lily, who was holding his fingers tightly as she tried to balance herself. "I do." Vanessa looked puzzled. "Why?" Gavin breathed out, his eyes never leaving his daughter. "Because I should have been here much earlier." Something in Vanessa's chest felt tight. She had thought Gavin was just another rich business owner, too busy to bring up his own child. But now, looking at him, truly looking at him, she saw the facts. He was not missing because he did not care. He was missing because he did not know how not to be. The more time Gavin spent with them, the more Vanessa saw him becoming different. He laughed more, not the careful, quiet chuckle she had heard earlier, but a true laugh, deep and open. He learned how to calm Lily when she was upset. He learned how to be there fully. And Vanessa? Vanessa felt something she had not felt in years. A reason. She had spent so long telling herself she was not for this anymore, that she would only mess up if she tried again. But with Lily, it did not feel like a job. It felt like her own home. One evening, after a very good time together, Vanessa and Gavin sat on the back porch, watching the sun go down. Lily was already sleeping inside, tired but joyful. Vanessa drank her tea slowly, feeling the warmth fill her. "She is getting so much better." Gavin nodded, his eyes looking far away. "Because of you." Vanessa shook her head. "Because of herself. I'm just helping her see what she can do." Gavin turned to her then, his blue eyes strong. "You do that for everyone, do you not?" Vanessa blinked. "What?" "You make people feel they can achieve things they never imagined." His voice was low, but there was something deeper, something Vanessa was not ready to call out. She looked away. "I once thought that—" Gavin looked at her for a long moment, then almost too gently he said, "You still do." Vanessa's heart beat fast. For the first time since she had met him, she saw Gavin Carter not as a very rich man, not as a far-off father, but as a person. And that scared her greatly. It took place so quickly. One moment, they were sitting, the air heavy with words not said. The next, Gavin took her hand. She did not move it. His fingers gently traced the back of hers, his touch soft, checking. "Vanessa," he quietly said. She looked up, and then he kissed her. It was not rushed or forceful. He was slow, gentle, as if he was giving her a chance to stop him. But she did not. For one short, secret moment, she allowed herself to feel the warmth of his mouth, how his hand held her face, the constant beat of his heart under her hand. And then real life hit. Vanessa pulled back quickly, her breathing uneven. Gavin's eyebrows wrinkled. "Vanessa," "I cannot," she murmured, standing up fast. Gavin reached for her, but she moved one step back. I am sorry," she spoke with difficulty, shaking her head no. "I should not have done that. This was wrong." His face grew serious. "Wrong?" Vanessa swallowed with effort. "I cannot do this, Gavin." He stood then, anger showing in his eyes. "Why not?" "Because I cannot." Her voice cracked. She took a breath, holding the railing behind her tight. "I cannot lose another person I truly like." Gavin's face grew softer. "Vanessa." But she was already turning around, going back inside, leaving Gavin standing there, his heart beating hard. And for the first time in years, he understood how much he did not wish to be by himself anymore. Vanessa had spent years making walls around herself, telling herself that being far was safer, that loving too much only brought pain. But somehow, without even knowing it, Gavin and Lily had found their way in, and that frightened her most of all. She made her choice the next morning. She walked into Gavin's office, her heart hitting hard against her chest, her fingers curled into tight balls at her sides. He looked up from his desk, shocked. "Vanessa," she swallowed with effort, "I am leaving my job." The words felt like sharp pain in her throat, but she made herself say them. Gavin's face grew darker. He leaned back in his chair, putting his arms over his chest. "Say that again?" Vanessa kept her voice calm. "I cannot do this any longer." Gavin's jaw tightened. "Why? Because I love too much? Because I am scared? Because I do not know how to lose you?" But she could not speak that. Instead, she made a small shrug. "It was always for a short time. I never meant to stay for good." Gavin's eyes showed something unreadable. "Is that all? You are just leaving?" Vanessa nodded, even as her stomach hurt badly. "Yes." Gavin breathed out sharply, moving his head side to side. "And what about Lily?" Vanessa pulled back. "She will be okay." "She will not." His voice was deep, tight. "You know she will not." Vanessa bit her lip, looking away. She could not let herself think of Lily, of how she had begun to reach out, to trust again, how her tiny fingers had held Vanessa's shirt just last night. If she thought about it, she would break down. So she made herself look into Gavin's eyes and spoke the most hurtful words she knew. "She does not need me. She needs a mother, someone who can truly be present." Gavin's face grew firm. "You just think you do," she went on, not listening to her heart shouting for her to stop. "But I was never meant to be a lasting answer. You are just searching for someone to—" She paused, then gave the last hard hit. "To take the place of your wife." The quiet that came next was very loud. Gavin's whole body stiffened, his hands holding the edge of his desk. When he finally spoke, his voice was dangerously calm. "Leave now." Vanessa's throat felt hot. "Gavin!" "Leave now." Vanessa turned and left, each step feeling like it was tearing her apart. Lily stopped eating 3 days after Vanessa went away. She stopped playing, stopped answering, stopped smiling. Gavin tried. Heavens, he tried. He sat with her at mealtimes, read her best tales, played the games Vanessa had shown them. But it was never the same. Lily did not look at him how she had looked at Vanessa. She did not brighten up the way she had when Vanessa was there. And Gavin disliked it. Disliked that he was not enough. Disliked that Vanessa had left as if they meant nothing. But most of all, he disliked how much he missed her. Gavin Carter had always been a man who used facts. He built his large business on cold, well-thought-out choices, never letting feelings cloud his decisions. But now facts were not enough, because no amount of thinking could mend the empty feeling Vanessa left. And worse, he was not the only one hurting. Lily was fading away. At first it was slight. She would not eat her favorite foods. She turned away when Gavin tried to assist her with easy jobs. She no longer reached for his hand. Then one night, he walked by her room and saw her curled up small, quietly weeping into her pillow. Something inside him broke. Gavin sat next to her, his chest tense. "Lily?" She did not answer. He reached out, moving her hair from her face. "Speak to me, dear." Lily sniffled. Then, in a voice so soft it almost hurt him, she quietly said, "Where is Vanessa?" Gavin shut his eyes. He had spent weeks telling himself he could make this right, that if he just worked hard enough, Lily would get over it. But he was mistaken, because Vanessa was not just a short-term helper. She was like family. And Gavin had been too unable to see, too unwilling to change, too scared to say how much she meant to them. But not now. The restaurant was full when Gavin walked in, but he did not mind. He was not there for the people, for the food, for anything but her, and this time he was not by himself. Lily sat in his arms, her tiny fingers holding his coat, her face pale from many weeks of sorrow. Vanessa was behind the counter, writing quickly on a small pad. She looked tired, less heavy than before, her hair loosely pulled back. But when she looked up and saw them, she stopped completely. For a long moment, no one stirred. Then Vanessa's eyes saw Lily, and her breathing stopped. She was around the counter very fast, bending down beside them, her hands shaking as she reached for the little girl. "Lily!" her voice broke. "Oh, dear one!" Lily raised her head, looking at Vanessa as if she was not certain if she was truly there. Then, slowly, with effort, she raised one hand and touched Vanessa's face. The moment Vanessa felt that small, known warmth, the barrier gave way. Tears streamed down her face as she pulled Lily close, holding her as if she would never let go. Gavin watched, his throat tense. Then softly, he spoke the words he should have said many weeks ago. "I need you, Vanessa." Vanessa became still. Her arms held Lily tighter as she looked up at him, her light brown eyes full of tears not yet fallen. Gavin moved one step nearer. "I do not just need you because of Lily," he went on, his voice rough, open. "I need you because of myself." Vanessa took a quick breath. "Gavin, I was afraid," he confessed. "I was afraid of letting you close, of what that would mean. But I cannot—" He breathed out unevenly. "I cannot manage this without you." Vanessa's lips opened, but no words were spoken, because she wished to trust him. Heavens, she wished to trust him. But she was still very scared. Lily's tiny fingers wrapped around the spoon, shaking a little as she brought it to her mouth. The eating room was quiet. Every breath stopped as she tried hard to hold it. Then, for the first time ever, she fed herself one bite. A small, unsure move. But to Gavin and Vanessa, it meant the world. Lily blinked with surprise, then looked up at Vanessa, her eyes large. Vanessa's throat felt tight. "You did it, dear one." Gavin breathed out slowly, a smile appearing on his face. "You truly did." Lily laughed softly, a sound Gavin had not heard for so long. And in that moment, he knew it was not only about what Vanessa had done for Lily. It was about what she had done for him. For the first time since his wife's death, he was not scared of loving someone once more. He reached into his pocket, his fingers holding tighter around the tiny soft box he had been carrying for many days. Vanessa turned to him, still drying her joyful tears. "What?" Gavin breathed out slowly. Then, before she could utter one more word, he went down on one knee. "Vanessa," he said gently, "become my wife." Vanessa's breathing stopped. Her hands rushed to her mouth. Lily, not knowing how important the moment was, clapped her hands together. "Vanessa, say yes." Vanessa gave a teary laugh, shaking her head in wonder. "Gavin." Gavin took her hand, his touch strong, sure. "I love you," he said plainly. "And I do not just want you in Lily's life, I want you in my own." Vanessa's eyes filled once more, but this time it was not fright. It was something different, something fresh, something secure. She let out a shaky breath, then quietly said, "Yes." Gavin put the ring onto her finger, then pulled her close, holding her tight as Lily cheered next to them. For the first time in years, they were not just three hurt people trying to live. They were a family, Love is not only about finding someone, it is about picking them again and again. Gavin had spent years thinking that love was something he had lost for good. Vanessa had spent just as long telling herself that love was too painful to try again. But in the end, it was not about being scared. It was about Lily's joyful sound filling their home, about Gavin finding the bravery to love once more, about Vanessa learning she was not meant to lose everyone she cared for. Because love, true love, is not only about liking someone, it is about giving, belief, and finding a family where you least expect it. If this story moved your heart, do not forget to give a like, share it, and follow soul-stirring stories for more touching tales that show us the strength of love, standing strong, and new chances. Because sometimes the family we discover is even stronger than the one we are born into.